Hey everyone, my name's Jack, and today I want to talk about gods. Now, some of you probably think, I'm an atheist, I don't have a god. Well, have I got news for you. Even though you might not believe in a metaphysical, spiritual being residing in the astral realms, controlling your life or influencing your behavior, I would argue that you do still have your own individual, personal God. Now, what I mean by this is that we all have a highest ideal. We all have something that we put on a pedestal that we hold up above everything else. It might be a virtue, it might be a skill or an attribute, but we all have that one thing that we turn into a god. So, for example, you might be really interested in becoming wealthy, getting a lot of money, having a lot of material success, and why not, make a better life for yourself, for your children, for your grandchildren, sure. But if you make that the highest priority or the highest ideal in your life, that essentially functions as a god for you. So if you put money and the acquisition of wealth above all else, that becomes your god. Now, people do this with all sorts of things. It could be fame, it could be just feeling good all the time, happiness, it could be knowledge, it could be literally anything. And this isn't a video about morality of what you should or shouldn't choose. It's more about the idea that whether you believe in woo-woo spiritual stuff or not, if you place something on a pedestal, that becomes your highest ideal. It becomes your North Star, your guiding principle in life. And whatever you worship, you will become. So if you look at Christianity, for example, Jesus is the God that is worshipped. It is the highest ideal. And what does Jesus embody? Character traits such as compassion, love, forgiveness, unconditional, universal acceptance and love. These kind of ideas. I'm talking about Jesus, not the church or the religion of Christianity or Catholicism, but Jesus. So if he is your highest ideal, you could expect that your trajectory in life is going to move you closer towards that ideal and becoming more like that. By the same token, if you take a religion like Islam, where the Prophet Muhammad is the highest ideal in many ways, and the things that he preaches or his attributes, which are, he's a warlord, he married a child, let's not get too into it, but there's some different attributes there. And if you follow that path, you're going to emulate Muhammad, for better or worse, right? So you can kind of see what I'm getting at. Now, the point isn't that you even necessarily need this or should do this. It's more that whether you like it or not, consciously or unconsciously, you have this in your own life. Look at your own life. What is it that you do religiously? Like, religion isn't necessarily what you believe. It's what you do religiously. It's who you are. It's your behavior. Things that you do day in, day out religiously. So for some people, it might be going to the gym, getting stronger, bodybuilding, powerlifting, or being an athlete. If that is what you do every day and that is what you think about all the time and are concerned with, then that is essentially your God, and therefore you probably value things like strength and tenacity and perseverance and determination, right? So whether we choose it or not, this is operating in our life all the time. And you see people come unstuck when I think a big one is if you put pleasure or hedonism or feeling comfortable and good all the time, if that is your highest ideal, then basically there's no rules. Because it's like, I don't want to do this, I don't feel good. It's like, okay, well, you don't have to, because pleasure is the highest principle, or comfortability is the highest principle. Comfortability, is that even a word? I don't know. But you get the idea, right? So just be aware of this, because it's operating whether you like it or not. Some people, it might be fame, like maybe they're obsessed with Kim Kardashian and reality TV and Married at First Sight and all that sort of stuff, and they love that whole vibe and that whole world. And that's what you're into. That's what you're into. Like for me personally, a big thing for me is creativity, specifically music. Like I'm a musician. I play in a band. I record stuff. Even making this video is being creative. And that isn't so much necessarily something I believe or strive for, but it's just inbuilt into who I am. Like it's always been there, this drive to create and to do different things. And so for me, that is one of my highest principles, is to be consciously creating things and putting things out in the world. Even if no one sees them, it doesn't really matter. It's more for my own sake to create something that I believe is worthwhile and valuable and going to help the world or whatever improve and get better, become more ordered, less chaotic, moving towards the light rather than the dark, right? That's sort of, just an example from my own life. And I obviously have more than one. You obviously have more than one as well. But it's just something to be aware of. And it's not a new idea. Jordan Peterson talks about this. Carl Jung's talks about this. Like it's not groundbreaking stuff. But I would encourage you to look into your own life and see, where am I putting all my energy? Where are all my thoughts going towards? Is it work? Is it pleasure? Is it video games? So it could be anything, right? And just be aware of that and think, is this who I want to become? Whatever my attention is focused on consistently is what I will become. Your thoughts become reality. And it's going to shape the trajectory of your life. And I just think it's good to continually remind yourself of this and to try and keep it at the forefront of like, what am I working towards? What am I putting on a pedestal? What is my God? Is it love? Or for some people, it may be a religious figure. It may be Jesus or Mother Mary or, any of the gods. And that's fine too. But I'm kind of more talking about if you don't believe in any particular God in a spiritual sense, you can still apply this principle. And now you can even take this a step further, and this is where it gets interesting for me. Obviously, people worship money, people worship fame, people want, this and that. But what if you hold up a virtue or an attribute as your highest ideal? What if rather than having money as your highest ideal, you had strength or honor or truth or courage or perseverance, and that was your guiding principle? How much more effective would that make you in the world? You would be locked in on whatever your goals are, whatever your path is, and whenever things got tough, you could look to your guiding principle and be like, no, I'm going to be courageous, I'm going to be strong, or whatever it is that you've chosen. Because I think we can all agree that strength is better than weakness. Courage is better than cowardice. Truth is better than a lie. So what if we pick these life-affirming attributes and life-affirming virtues to have as our highest principle, as opposed to letting the media fill us with a whole bunch of nonsense and bullshit, particularly in the West? We're filled with so much crap that is designed to weaken us at our foundation and cause us to become further entrenched in chaos, right? It's a downward trajectory. Let's take back the reins and flip that and become organized within our own psyche so that we can move forward into the future from a place of strength. So to cut a long story short, whatever your guiding principle is, whatever your God is, choose it and choose something that is life-affirming and going to make you better. I believe at the end of the day, we can't really know for sure what the objective reality is when it comes to gods and goddesses and religions and all that sort of stuff. But we can pretty clearly see that certain ideologies make our lives better and certain ideologies make our lives worse. So find the ideology that makes you the best version of yourself and put that at the top of the pyramid. Make that your guiding principle and your North Star. Don't let someone else choose it for you. You decide who you are and you pick what your North Star is going to be. And that's kind of my philosophy now, is that whatever framework or mental mindset makes me the best version of myself across the most amount of arenas in my life, then to me, that is the one that is in alignment with me, and that is the closest I can get to truth. Because when I adopt that as my guiding principle, everything in my life improves. The way I feel improves. The way I function in the world improves. It all gets better. If I adopt hedonism or pleasure or excess or weakness or whatever, the current bullshit agenda is, if I make that my highest principle, my life goes to shit. I've seen it happen, and I'm sure you have as well. So the point of this video is, whether you believe in God or not, choose your North Star, choose your guiding principle, and make it something that's life affirming and that makes you a better person in the world. That's all I got for you for today. I'll see you next time.